Our heirs, whatever or whoever they may be, will explore space and time to a degree that we cannot currently fathom. They will create new melodies in the music of time. There are infinite harmonies yet to be explored. Clifford Pickover wrote these words. They were in the book Time, A Traveler's Guide. Yesterday morning, a typical fall day, I was in Sulphur, Oklahoma, and went over to Flower Park. And as I walked into Flower Park, I traveled. I traveled back in time. I looked around, and it was 1902. And it was not Sulphur, Oklahoma. Oklahoma wasn't a state. It was Sulphur Springs Reservation, and it was bustling. People were moving in. Businesses were starting. Excuse me. The beautiful area with the medicinal waters, the mineral springs, were getting more and more corrupted because people were moving in and they weren't caring for the waters. The land was owned by the Chickasaw Nation, the Chickasaw tribe at that time. And they looked around and they saw what was happening and they were very, very concerned. And so they decided, they were the first native tribe to petition the federal government to say, please, take our land and make it federal land. Make it a park so that we can protect these mineral waters. And that's what happened. And it became Platte National Park. In 1907, Oklahoma became a state. And in 1909, in November, there was a bridge in Platte National Park that went from the town right into the park. This bridge, for 6 years, had had one repair after another. It was a wooden bridge. It was collapsing. When the storms would come, something would happen. It was really a danger for all of the people that were traversing over this bridge. It was the main entrance into the park. Superintendent Green petitioned the Secretary of Interior to please let us build a new bridge in this park. He eventually agreed to that. That was in November of 1907. Bids went out. Several bids came in, some low, some higher. The highest bid that came in was for $3,600. But it was a good bid because it was all of the others wanted to put in a wooden bridge. Well, the wooden bridge hadn't held up. It wasn't working right. Or they wanted to put the wire handrails and the fear of a little child going through those rails and falling in. But the bid that came in for $3,600 proposed a limestone arch bridge of 40 feet. It proposed a roadway of 12 feet wide, circular towers, 4 circular towers at each corner of this bridge. And it proposed electric lights, unheard of. People were excited. The main request about this bridge was that a rider at full gallop could safely cross the bridge. Well, this more than surpassed that requirement. Superintendent Green again petitioned the Secretary of Interior, and he approved it. And by February of 1909, not even a year, half a year, this bridge was completed. And they had the dedication. They held the dedication on February 12th, which was the centennial of President Lincoln's birthday. It was a grand gathering. People came from all around. There were patriotic songs that were being sung. There were dignitaries, one that read the Gettysburg Oration. There were others that read and talked about the life and times of Lincoln. Secretary Green talked about President Lincoln, who had been his neighbor and his friend. And Mrs. Lucy Bennett dressed up in a dress that was made typical to the time period when President Lincoln, prior to being president, was selling dry goods at a store, and it was from material bought during that time. Mrs. Lucy Bennett climbed on top of one of those turrets, and with a wine bottle filled with the medicinal waters of the springs, christened the bridge, and it became the Lincoln Bridge. It was quite an event. Superintendent Green wrote to the Secretary of Interior and said, "To say that the people are pleased with the bridge could be a conservative statement of the public sentiment. They are delighted," and he spelled it D-E-Lighted, because they had electricity on that bridge. I blinked and fast forward. I was back in current time. And here we are with America the Beautiful Quarter series that started last year. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the U.S. Mint is issuing 5 quarters a year, one for each state over a period of several years, and it will commemorate a federal park or a federal site, a national site. Yesterday was the commemoration of the Oklahoma Quarter. And the Oklahoma Quarter, on the reverse side, has the image of the Lincoln Bridge. When I looked around at the event yesterday, it was so similar to the event that occurred so many years ago when that bridge was dedicated. People were walking in, there was a makeshift stage that had been erected, folding chairs were on the park grounds, and children were being walked in by their teachers and sitting along the Travertine Creek, waiting for this event to start. The 5th grade class led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Chickasaw Nation dance troupe danced the Friendship Dance. The high school, the Sulphur High School, provided the music. The dignitaries were there, and cake was served afterwards. It was quite an event. The quarter, when you look at it on the front, is like the original quarter, except that it has the original portrait of George Washington that came out in 1932. It's a revision of that. On the back of the quarter is the Lincoln Bridge. It says Chickasaw, it says Oklahoma, it says 2011, E Pluribus Unum. Today I'd like to give each of you one of those quarters, and perhaps you can go with me back in time and forward into the future over the Lincoln Bridge. Thank you.